seems like every time Margaret Qualley is attached to a project, it rakes in big numbers, and honestly, I am a fan. With films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Suburb, Poor Things, and more recently The Substance, she is knocking it out the park as a talented and versatile actress. Hello, it's me, Sarah, and today we are here to talk about her newest film, the detective comedy Honey, Don't. But before we begin, please give us a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. Alright, without further ado, let's unravel this caper. From the get-go, this is clearly the work of one of the Coen brothers, as it has that almost surreal feel to the way it's shot and the way the characters interact with one another. Sadly, it's only one of the brothers, so it does feel like it's missing something, like they're dangling a prize in front of you, but it's just out of reach. But just like Fargo and No Country for Old Men, it follows several different characters who intersect at some point, weaving a pretty decent crime mystery, but one that ultimately fizzles out by the end. The film is much more concerned with focusing on the sex scenes and surprising violent moments, that any thematic elements are kind of lost, and the film feels rather shallow for this. This can make it feel like a slog to get through, unfortunately. However, that being said, if you've seen the trailers and all you want is 90 minutes of Margaret Qualley getting naked with Aubrey Plaza, then this is the film for you, and we won't judge you for that. Okay, now it's time for spoilers. I repeat, spoilers are inbound. Please skip to the timestamp on screen if you want to avoid any plot details or so. I'll give you a moment. Alright, still here? Let's start. The film opens up on a young woman coming across a car crash with a dead woman inside. She steals what she can, including an ornate ring adorned with a golden cross, before stripping down naked and cooling off in a nearby pond. Then she hops on her bike and drives off to Bakersfield, kicking off the movie mystery. We are then introduced to Margaret Qualley's character, Honey O'Donoghue, waking up from a lesbian one-night stand. The local homicide detective Marty, played by Charlie Day, meets up with her at the car crash with the dead woman inside. He tries to flirt with her, but clearly she likes women. Honey actually runs her own private investigation operation, and since she's dealing with missing people, she often investigates crime scenes where a body has turned up, just in case it's one of her clients. One thing to take note is while this film does take place in the modern day, it has a 60s Hollywood boulevard aesthetic to it, drenched in classic 60s tunes, and even the clothes many of the characters wear are similar to the 60s. Back at her office, she's tasked with tracking down another man's boyfriend, whom he suspects of cheating, and rub the proof in his face. There's also a bunch of billboards and posters everywhere advertising the Four-Way Church, run by a man named Reverend Drew Devlin, played by none other than Captain America himself, Chris Evans. We meet Reverend Drew in his bedroom, getting busy with one of his flock. Get ready for this. And making her hold a mirror so he can see himself hit it from the back while repeating, "Yes, you are the light." Okay, we listen and don't judge, remember? The session is interrupted though by another follower, Shuggy, informing him Big Little Joey is looking for him, and he's pissed because Little Joey Jr. died running some kind of truck scheme for them. Well, it turns out Rev Drew is involved with the woman we saw in the beginning. She's some kind of operative from a French crime outfit, and she's here to make sure things run smoothly and keep Drew out of any legal trouble. Back at the police station, Marty declares the car crash victim as a PFD, pretty fucking dead, but did track down her address and gives it to Honey. While collecting some other evidence from the scene, Honey meets MG, played by Aubrey Plaza, and there's an instant spark. Meanwhile, over at some restaurant, some guy who's been putting his meals on a tab is asked by Hector, a young busboy, to start paying up. The man tries to offer him a blowjob instead, and Hector just knocks him out before jumping in his car and then running him over, getting the body mangled up in his tyres before peeling off down the road. The maitre d' of the place sees this and immediately calls the cops. It's a very big overreaction. Fucking hell. Jumping back to Honey, she heads out to check the victim's residence when she meets the victim's parents there. We ain't no cheap Christmas trash, we're homeowners. That about sums these people up. However, she is given permission to check her bedroom for clues, and here she finds some self-help books with highlighted passages, a big fuzzy cat, and a weird church frock blouse, and hidden inside that, some sexy chain underwear. Looks like she was also one of Drew's personal flock. Reverend Drew is preaching to his pulpit about self-actualization through the Lord, quoting that a piece of macaroni is just a dry noodle that sits there until it's moulded into macaroni and cheese. Yeah, about what you would expect from one of these new age pop-up churches you often find scattered across the southern regions of the US. After he wraps up his sermon, he meets up with Shuggy, his gopher essentially, who informs him there's another dead body, the one that Hector killed earlier. Well, no problem, did anyone see? The bartender. Well, shit, looks like Hector has to go too then. No loose ends that could tie anything back to Drew, of course. Hector is hiding out in the middle of the Mojave at his abuela's house, when Shuggy shows up to try and take him out. But Hector is scrappy, and not only stabs him with a fork, then whacks him in the head with a pan, before stabbing him again with a pizza cutter. But Shuggy brought a gun to a knife fight and shoots the little guy in the gut. He then tries looking for a knife to finish the job off and maybe patch himself up, before Hector then gets back up, cracks him over the head again, steals his gun and empties the clip into him. Sounds messy. Honey is coming up empty for leads, so she gets MG's personal number and calls her out for a little date. Let's just say while sitting in the bar, some fingers end up in some warm places, and so it quickly leads back to Honey's place to finish the job. I'm going to point out that if sex bothers you in films, this film is 70% sex scenes almost. Though I have to say, the morning after when Honey is washing her, toys in the sink along with the dishes, I laughed out loud. Yeah, I'm not gonna say this sounds terrible, this film, really shit. Just right after this scene, we cut back to Hector busting in on Reverend Drew, having a threesome. And Hector fires off a bunch of rounds, missing every single shot, before Drew knocks him out, steals a gun, and puts one in his dome. Wow, this movie, eh? Later in the afternoon, going off the only clue she really has being the church garment, she stops by the four-way church, and Drew tries putting on his charm right away, flirting up a storm with her and trying to get in the sack, but she's not interested in that. So it has little to no effect on her. In fact, she tells him she prefers a vibrator because it suits her just fine and doesn't have a creep attached to it. Way to go, Honey. And then we cut to more sex scenes between Honey and MG, and then they share some information about the case. Some of these lines though, just wow, some of these lines. Ready? Sorry, I might have left some lipstick down there. It's alright, it's the only place I wear it. Wow, what a line. I guess the lipstick is still technically on some lips, eh? We also learn that MG's father is a military man, and he was pretty abusive towards her growing up, often using physical violence to discipline her, and it factors into the kind of things she's into now. Meanwhile, Honey's niece, Corinne, gets abducted, and this once again leads back to Reverend Drew and his criminal drug operation. Eventually, Honey goes to confront him and hears a gunshot when she gets there, but when she tries to get a warrant to enter the premises through Marty, being the dimwit he is, he turns her down, unless of course she would be willing to go on a date with him. Okay. Just before leaving the area, she sees a French woman riding off on her bike. Moments before Honey arrived, Cher and Drew were having adult time, and after she was finished, she shot him dead, basically cleaning up the operation. When Honey goes to visit MG, after not hearing back from her for a while, she finds her all distraught and confrontational. Then she spots it, the teacup with her niece's lipstick still on it, and it all comes together. Looks like MG has actually been killing all the women in the area as a kind of vigilante, put them out of their misery kind of service. Again, flashing back to her upbringing. MG unloads about her past, about how she killed her father in cold blood because of all the abuse and his unwillingness to accept that she was gay. This is how she wound up involved with the church, and she claims she was trying to end their suffering to protect them from being used by the four-way church, telling herself she was saving them in some kind of effed up feminist rage brought on by all of her own issues. Honey and MG battle it out, resulting in Honey getting stabbed in the gut and MG shot in the head. The movie ends with Honey coming across Cher, the French woman from the beginning of the film, near a stoplight on her way out of town. Now, she did see Cher once before leaving the church after some gunshots, forming a loose connection in her mind to the case. So what does she do now? She flirts with her, of course. What happens next is up to the audience. My guess is she probably is going to try and entice her into a casual sex situation where she can have her be more vulnerable. So then she can extract some more information from her. Or maybe she's just genuinely attracted to her and is looking to get lucky. I doubt this will ever get resolved, as most of Coen films end in a question mark, and they never get sequels, so don't expect there to be a Honey, Don't 2. So that was Honey, Don't, a stylish yet substanceless thriller, set in the modern day that just didn't live up to its potential. Again, it was mostly just artful shots of the California desert, mixed with a ton of sexual scenes and some abrupt violence, and it felt incredibly empty. I give the film a 5 out of 10. There was something there, and I think if both brothers had been involved, they could have pulled blood from this stone. Sadly, what we got was another forgettable crime drama in a world where there's so many direct-to-streaming films and shows. You would have to really do something spectacular to stand out from the rest. I want to thank you all for checking out the video. What did you think of the film? Are you a fan of Margaret Qualley? Let us know in the comments below, as well as if there is any other films you want us to review. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like, share and comment, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all our latest releases. I have been your host Sarah, and thank you for being here with me today. Have a beautiful day and take care everyone. Goodbye.